Whoa. I gotta figure out a better way to sit, better background. I don't know. The lens is cool. Let me get a little closer. Oh, hold on. Hair's all janky. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to, I guess this is episode 2. I don't know if are we gonna call these episodes? I guess. All right. Mood today, good, optimistic, still roller coastery, but I felt like I wanted to make this video because I was like, all right, I started this series and I'm kind of like, all right, well, I gotta actually do this now. You know what I mean? I gotta commit to this. I don't know how scheduling is gonna go. I have a lot I want to say. I've got topics written down. If you know me, you know. I get very OCD with doing the meticulous thing. And I do want to start doing filming in the car. I don't have it near me right now, but I bought this really cool suction cup mount that's supposed to go on the front windshield of the car so I could put this camera if I wanted to, or even a GoPro. I've got all these now. These magnetic setups where you could see maybe, there's my detail cart and there's a little like clamp thing, but I've been trying to plan for different mounting locations, different type of angles. I'm still heavily working on audio. It's probably going to be crap today too because I have the air on and I don't know why that thing's whistling a little bit, so ignore all that crap, right? Let's focus on the video. Previous video was like an introduction into the idea of this, right? And then I feel like we're not going to be able to, I feel like we can't have honest communication unless I'm honest with myself and talk about one of the things that, well, the thing that really messed me up. Right? Like that life-changing thing. I think we all have it. I don't think I feel like you can progressively head into this weird roller coaster. I don't want to just call it depression. I think it's just life. I don't feel like it's depression, but it could be. Like I'm not suicidal. I think at one point I had those thoughts, but I never really was gonna like do it, and those thoughts stopped as soon as I became a dad. So it's not at that level, but I know there's a lot of people that are going through it and it's at that level. But I feel like it can't just be, it's got to be a collection of things, a lot of things, or one big thing that set something off and it started skyrocketing. You know what I mean? So my big thing, as many of you know, if you know, my mom passed away in 2015, and I guess let's just go back. So I'm an only child. My parents had me 1986, and they were toxic together. That's it, right? My mom was very much a hard personality, alpha, and my dad very much a submissive beta. But when he drank, that was his downfall. It was that freaking alcohol, and he turned into a monster, and unfortunately that was where their problems were. So my mother kicked my father out when I was 13 months old, I believe, right around that time. And I didn't grow up with some glamorous life. I grew up with what my mom could give me, and she busted her ass to give me everything. She was the most amazing woman I could ever possibly try, and still very much fail to put into words. That she just was not, she was just something else, man. She broke the mold. She was incredible. And she still is. Wherever she is, she's still incredible. But it was just me and her for a long time. I spent weekends with my father. He lived in a trailer park in North Bergen, New Jersey. And we bounced around a lot through a couple different towns and stuff. But we didn't really grow up with money by any means. We struggled a lot. My mom she made sure that I had new shoes and nice clothes and a roof over our head. And she did give me the toys. She spoiled me as much as she could. It wasn't until later that she ended up, you know, making better money and stuff. And I remember, you know, all my friends had AOL. We couldn't afford AOL. We had CompuServe. Our first computer in the house, it was dial-up. I mean, we're backing up, right? Dial-up internet with chat rooms and people that used to say ASL, age, sex, location, you know. We couldn't afford AOL, so we had CompuServe. And I had an E-Machines desktop computer that we were making payments on that we bought from QVC. Goddamn. That's like, you know, she did everything she could, though. She busted her ass. She worked multiple jobs. I was a tough kid. I had bad ADHD, and I was in BI classes, and I was tough. And I really tested boundaries, and I was a very hard to raise child. And my mom was just that incredible that she pushed through that as a single parent, basically, if you want to look at it like that. Like, my dad really wasn't in the picture. My dad's never, there's the air off, but my dad's never really been a big influence in my life. And now that I look back on it, I do thank God that he wasn't a big influence into my life. But there's the dynamic. It's me and my mom and I. And, you know, we went through so much. We were together a lot. But my mom, her two biggest fears were getting cancer and I guess being alone. She was very clingy with that, and she was scared that I was going to leave her, I guess, in life. So with her love came a lot of mental abuse. It's like she'll put you on a pedestal. She'll lift you up, and then she'll knock you right back down, like to keep you in place. You know what I mean? Like, it was like I don't think she did it to hurt me, but I think she was scared of me leaving, not coming back, and she did it. And, you know, it did take a toll, right? But that was life. We grew up different world, different time. You know, people had to have a backbone. Let's fast forward to a lot of shit. We don't need to hear all that, right? But what happened? I think the first time we started getting nervous, I forget what year it was. It was quite a few years earlier. She ended up, she was a smoker. And, you know, we can get into a big debate whether or not I think cigarettes do this or not. I do. Some people don't. Whatever. That's fine. You have your opinion. But she ended up with something called a nodule, like a little mass on her lung. They were monitoring it for a little bit. They kept doing scans, and eventually it did look like it was getting a little bit bigger. So what they did, I believe it was called a lobectomy. I'll never forget that. I wasn't super old by any means. I think I was like late teens, early 20s, something like that. Like, fresh into the world. Like, welcome to potentially, possibly becoming an adult, but I'm nowhere near it yet. Like, that kind of phase. So she had surgery, and they cut out a third of one of her lungs. And I remember, like it was yesterday, being in a hospital and her having this suitcase of like bodily fluids with tubes coming out of her, like drainage tubes. And it was fucking crazy. It was crazy. And that was back then. And they told us that they biopsied something. At first they said it wasn't cancerous. They never did chemo or radiation after, which was, you know, in my mind, this is where we're heading, right? This doctor, what the hell was his name? Pantarero or some stupid stuff. Not that that matters, but this guy pissed me off now that I look back. But I don't think they did the right thing. A couple doctors didn't do the right thing. But they didn't fully eliminate stuff and then find out that it was a cancerous thing. that they removed, but it wasn't anywhere else. So we were like, okay, you know, they never gave it a stage, nothing. We never even knew about these stages things. Like, these are just, my mom was freaked out. She was just happy that it was out of her body. So she went from there. I think she was doing checkups every like 3 months or 6 months, and things were good for a while. Out of nowhere, a couple years later, it took that long to marinate, right? She started to get a numbing sensation, I guess, in her lower private areas. I guess she noticed it when she went to the bathroom and she was wiping, and she noticed like a numbing, tingling thing, she said. And she went to the doctor, and at that point they told her that they found cancer on her spinal cord. I forget exactly, it was like an upper, like a mid to upper area of her spinal cord, right? And it wasn't spinal cancer, so that means it was a metastatic. It means it jumped from a different thing. So it was lung cancer that metastasized. I don't know if you know about cancer, but metastatic means it could jump from like one thing to the next, and then just all hell could just break loose. So we were freaked out, and she was freaked out. And the course of action at that point, I remember we were going back and forth, and she did radiation on the top part of her spine, and it was like multiple weeks. We had to go sit there. They locked her in. They had like a custom mask or something to do with her thing. It was crazy. It was a lot of roller coaster emotions then. So they did that, and they said that it shrunk it enough. She lost the numbing sensation, and they were confident that maybe that it was in remission. I heard this word numerous times. It's like one of these like trigger words that you try to harp on. It doesn't actually mean it's gone. It does not cured. Remission is just you hope for it, but you gotta stay realistic, even when you hear that. So, you know, she went from that ordeal, and then it came back a couple years later, right? But we didn't know. We were on a cruise. This was more in the recent times. What was it 2012, 2013? We were on a cruise to the Bahamas, and it was one of the last times I saw her walking, bro. Wow. So we were on the cruise, and she started to feel the numbing sensation again, right? So after the cruise, we went to the doctors back. They said that the mass had grown again, but this time it was like the weirdest thing, like where it was located on her spine. You know where your heart is here? It was on the spinal cord right behind her chest, and it was like wrapped around her spine. So they couldn't fully remove it through surgery. And if you start touching spinal cords, you start having any kind of back surgery, if you know, it's very scary shit. Like so many things could go wrong, so many nerves, so many, it's just a risk. It's a risk. So they's like, okay, well, we can't do radiation again, because the radiation we did was still sort of fresh, and the tissue, it wouldn't work. It would just destroy the tissue there. So they couldn't radiate that spot again, and that's where it was. So they decided, all right, we're going to try to operate. This doctor, I want to say some words. Let's keep it PG a little bit. He seemed confident, right? We go in there. He had this game plan. He took so many images. So they went in there knowing what was going on. They had this game plan that they were going to go in and basically not remove the part on it's closest to the heart, because it was like right near her heart. You know what I mean? Like it was right there, behind there. So they were going to keep the inside portion of the spinal cord not touched, but they were going to try to get off all the stuff on the side and the back, if that makes sense, because it was like growing, but it was like squeezing and causing compression on her spine, which was causing a tingling and nerves and a pain, numbness, whatever, all that stuff, right? So they were going to go in there. And we went to the hospital. We had this surgery, and I remember like they were telling us it was going to be like a 2.5 hour surgery or something, and it was like a long time. It felt like a really long time. I started to get worried. Finally, this guy comes out. He starts telling us about how when he opened the area up, it was very, very red. The tissue was really degraded still from the radiation and blah, blah, blah. And that he wasn't sure he was going to be able to do it. And then immediately in the back of my head, I'm like, yo, like, why didn't you just shut the incision and let's have a conversation. Like, let's talk. You know what I mean? Like, let's reassess, reevaluate, figure out what's going on, and proceed from there. But he decided to, in his infinite wisdom, to do the surgery, remove whatever. All hell broke loose in life for everybody after that surgery. She ended up in the hospital, right, to recover, and they were trying to do some walking exercises. No idea what happened here. No idea. I'm not a doctor. I have no medical experience. I've just, lived through this, right? So I don't want to speak from some place of any kind of authority, like I know what the hell is going on in life, right? Because I don't. So she was walking for 2 days. Like, they took steps here and here and here, baby steps, like not much, right? The third day, or this night of the second day into the third day, I get a call from her, and she's screaming that she's starting to get tingles, and she's starting to not be able to feel her legs, and she can't walk. And then the doctors were telling me, and she's telling me that she can't stand anymore. She's paralyzed. What happened? What happened? Scar tissue, inflammation, what happened? No answers. Not a single goddamn answer came from that. Nothing. We went from there to Kessler, and they thought maybe rehab was going to help her. No. My mother was paralyzed from that surgery. Not sure how, not sure where. I don't know what the hell happened, but she became paralyzed. So, like 2 months or whatever in Kessler, and it was doing nothing. And then they put her at an acute facility in like Lincoln Park, New Jersey. It was some place there for therapy. And they tried her there. Actually, no, getting confused. We were at Kessler, then they were from Kessler. She ended up coming home, and they were teaching us how to do this technique to get from a wheelchair. It's a boarding technique. It's like a board that goes, like, slides under her butt cheek and onto the car seat, because we didn't have vehicles. At the time, I had like a Honda Civic sedan or something, right? So we had to like put her there and like lift her, and she wasn't a small woman, so we had to like pull her from the wheelchair into the car with this sliding board, transfer board, I believe it was called. That was crazy. And that's the funny thing about that, right? So because she was paralyzed, I guess at some point doing transfer boards, we broke her hip. I don't know. I don't know what goes on. So she had a broken hip. She didn't know. She had discomfort, but no pain, because she's paralyzed. She couldn't feel. So at some point, we go to the doctor again, and they did some images and found out, yeah, she had to have surgery to go back to the hospital to get the ball, her whole hip thing replaced and fixed. It was broken, like shattered, I think. Any normal person would have felt that, but she couldn't feel. So she did that, and then what happened? Right back to Kessler. And still paralyzed still. And then from there we went to the acute facility in Lincoln Park, and we were there for a bit, and then eventually she came home. Through that period, I ended up getting a handicap accessible van I found in South Jersey. We bought that. We had a ramp that came down. It wasn't like a fancy thing, because we didn't know what was going on, and if it was a forever thing. They kept telling us there's a chance she's going to walk. So I didn't want to go out and ball out and get something really nice, because I don't know what's going on. And we ended up getting this, and we had to live through that. My mom, being such a badass, still wanted to come to my office, was working there, and still wanted to feel normal. I ended up like hurting my back, because every weekend in the place we're at, I was pulling her up on Fridays so that she slept upstairs in our normal place, not the bottom layer of the house, in the middle, like where her bed was in her room. So 2 flights of stairs, and for her, she's a larger woman. She was, closing in on 6 foot tall. She was a little bit of a taller woman, and like hurt my back, and we just were living through life. It was very difficult with that. Fast forward, I was with my mom, even in a wheelchair. She helped me pick out my engagement ring for my fiance. That was, well, my soon-to-be fiance. And this was, I proposed on Christmas Eve of 2014. We went downstairs. After that, we're talking to my mom. She knew about everything. She helped me pick out the ring, so it was like at least she was there, right? So right after New Year's, so now mind you, right, this is how quick things can change. You got to love people in your life. This is where things start getting crazy, cuckoo. So right after New Year's, it was like January 3rd, she wasn't feeling right. She had just had another chemo. The chemo was tough. They kept switching different chemos and trying different things while she was trying to go through rehab and everything. So, we were still battling the cancer that was spreading. Now at this point, it was in her liver, kidneys. It was in the lungs, on the spine. They never actually came out and told us the stage. I think we all kind of knew. All right, well, my camera shut off for overheating. I don't know what I'm only at 4K 30. I got to figure out. I think it's just like no breeze in here or nothing, which, I mean, it's better for recording, but whatever. So we, like I said, we weren't told about any stages, which was probably for the best. And what ended up happening, it was right after New Year's. She had just gotten chemo, and it was a new chemo, like a fairly new one. New to the market, new to her, new to everything. So her body really wasn't taking it that well. There's a lot of complications, and she wasn't feeling well at all. She told me, she's like, I don't feel right, something's wrong. And from there, we took her to the hospital, and they had to admit her and keep her. And like I said, it was like January 2nd or 3rd. I believe it was January 3rd. So that night, I get a phone call at like 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. I'm home, right? And I was supposed to go see her in the morning, obviously. I get a phone call that my mother had a stroke while she was in the hospital. Apparently being paralyzed. And I didn't go into a lot of the details about the paralysis. I'll cover over that quickly here. I'm an only child. I'm her son. I had to step up and do a lot of things that your mother wouldn't want you to have to do when it comes to shaving her and showering, and she was in a diaper. She had bed sores that I had to fix. She had a thing called a Hoyer lift, where it was like basically like an engine lifter, cherry picker, to get her in and out of the bed. We had to buy a special bed with a massage feature to try to not have the bed sores as bad as they were, but they were still bad. I bought a special shower that hooked up, so it went to the middle of the room, and it had curtains and like a drain pool thing and water so that she could feel normalcy. This was before the stroke. So all that, right? I was there. It was me and her good long-term friend, this guy Bob. And that was it, really. Like, it was a couple people there, but it was primarily just us, right? So now, mind you, she's at the hospital. She has a stroke. They had to get emergency approval from me over the phone to go in through her thigh or her leg or something to remove the clot from the stroke. It's in her head. So what happened is the paralysis and the lack of movement and everything, being sitting so much in a wheelchair and sitting so much in general, caused a thing called a saddle clot, and it was like over both lungs. So they did that. Then she was in ICU. They had me sign a DNR that weekend. They told me that the likelihood of her surviving the weekend was slim. So I feel like that weekend was when I felt like I lost my mother even though I didn't. I felt like I lost her because I cried everything out that weekend. I learned a lot about people around me too. Um, there's the fan kicking back on. I learned a lot about the people. I told my mom might not make the weekend, and I saw who came and who didn't. I saw who cared and who didn't. And from there, I remember going into the ICU and the look on her face, because now she just had a stroke, right? I don't know if any of you have had a loved one or a friend or somebody have a stroke. It could affect them in many different ways. My mom, it destroyed her speech. She thought she was speaking, and I never really had a conversation with my mother again from that moment. She couldn't get the words, and it was very frustrating for her. We had speech therapists coming and stuff, but like when I first saw her, she looked like a child. She had the look of like fear and confusion in her eye in the ICU. She didn't know what was going on. And to this day, I kind of think that maybe that was God's way of showing remorse in a way for her, because she was like me, a very overthinking, critical thinker, worry, anxiety-filled human being. And I think, what was to come, the bad that was very close to coming, it would have been even worse for her if she didn't have the mentality dropped down where she didn't quite understand what was happening or what was coming. Then that's when they told us that she had stage 4. Then that's when they told us that there was nothing more they could do. Then was when they told us that they couldn't give her chemo anymore because she was in a very compromised state due to the stroke. So that was January. And, the next couple months were extremely hard. It was mostly taking care of her and just, I guess, I don't want to say keeping her comfortable. But yeah, that's kind of where we were. I didn't admit it to myself, but I guess I had to at some point. But yeah, that stroke took her. We had people coming to the house, and they were doing speech therapy. They tried to teach her how to speak and write and do things again, and it just really wasn't. She wasn't taken to it. She was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I noticed it. I noticed her energy getting down, and it was very, very hard to watch. But you can't. It's not me going through it. I'm watching my loved one, my mother, my best friend, the person that loved me more than anybody in the world ever did love me, watching her go through that. And all I have to do is sit there, and I gotta stay strong and not show her my fear, because I don't want to add to her. So I gotta try to be as strong as she is, and that's impossible because she's the strongest person I ever met. So I had to sit there and try to man up and go from a boy to a man. And that's kind of what did it. I think when some people say, oh, they're an adult, I don't think you're an adult until you have to take care of another human being. When you're responsible for another human, another life, and you're taking care of another person selflessly, then you can call yourself an adult. I don't think age, financial standing, living on your own, or doing any of that matters. I think that's not adulthood. I think when you have to take care of someone else, or when you reach a point in your life where that's something that has happened or does happen or is happening, or you become a parent and you're actually a parent, not one of these faux parents that just pretends that they're a parent, like you're actively involved taking care of your child, maybe then you can sit there and say you're an adult, right? I was pushed into an adult position very quickly. So, okay, this happened January. I don't want to drag this out even more. This is already a long video. I want to stress that I'm not coming from a place of sadness right now. I just wanted to get this out there for us to connect. I have to share. I have to open up, right? This can't just be like I'm not doing this for clicks and likes and money and stuff. I'm doing this because I feel like talking. The messages I got from this first video, the number one, the private messages on Instagram, the comments, people reaching out, it helped people. Not that I'm some savior, but even like I said, if it touched one person, if it helped one or two or multiple people, this is the point of it, is to reach out and connect to you guys and girls, to have that unity. You know what I mean? We're all here on earth together. It doesn't matter who the hell you are, where the hell you are, your financial standing, what part of the country, your skin color, your race, ethnicity, nothing. None of that shit matters. We all can and do go through this crazy stuff called life. And I feel like you just need to know that you have people here that are on your side, are willing to show you compassion because they care, genuinely care. I care. And I love you guys. You know, I love a lot of the love that I've gotten over the last couple years. And, you know, this is a fun thing for me to make videos. It's not like I'm some top YouTuber. I'll never be. But like I said, I've met a lot of really cool people through Instagram and YouTube. And I've got some friendships that I consider better through those social media than I've ever had in real life. Take that for what it's worth. Here's my ADD, right? Just not paying attention, just flipping off, right? So like I said, I'm not coming from sadness right now. I just want to get this shared so we could progress, all of us, and start talking about, I got a lot of topics. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. And I don't want you to think that we're going to be making videos and it's like I'm going to sit here mopey. I'm not mopey. I'm actually having a good day. It's Friday night. I got my kids upstairs. I'm recording this now. We're going to watch some movies and snuggle my kids, and I've got everything in the world that I need. I'm happy. I hope you're happy. Well, let's finish this. Okay. So after that, it was just an absolute shit show of epic proportions. Nothing went well. Nothing went right. And then we got to May. May, they put her back in the hospital. She was having like temperature issues. She was getting shivers. Her body temperature wasn't stabilizing. There was something with her blood, and the blood oxygen level was very low. She was not herself. And it was visibly noticeable that I was losing my mother. And we were at the hospital, and I remember that day. It was May 25th. I was at the hospital. And the plan was that she was coming home the next day. And they said the word I never wanted to hear, the hospice word. We're going to let her go home. And basically, I was having to wrap my mind around the fact that I was going to have my mother home, passing away at home. And it was like, as scary as that was for me, I had to be strong. I had to figure it out and handle it and be there for my mother when she needed me the most. I had to stay strong. I went home and I started cleaning like there was no tomorrow, because I was like, all right, God's given me maybe some time here, right? I want to clean, the deep cleaning. You know, when I stress, I am very much OCD. You know this. I'm very much into organization and cleanliness and structure, and cleaning is my therapy. Detailing is my therapy. But I was upstairs. I'll never forget it until I die. It was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. I got a phone call, and it was Hackensack Hospital. That's where she was. And it was the damn doctor. Doctors don't call you. And he told me my mom passed away. And I was cleaning the toilet bowl, and I was cleaning everything, and I remember dropping down to my knees. I lost my legs. Like, I couldn't stand. And it was so surreal. Because, like I said, I had cried so much in January from the stroke that I was like, okay, I couldn't believe it that I wasn't crying. I felt like I cried it all out, I guess. I was just in shock, though. I lost my mom, man. And that was May 25th, 2015. That's when she passed away. So she was 54 years old. She blessed us with 54 amazing years on this planet and touched more lives than I could probably explain to you. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but she was an incredible person. She was perfectly imperfect. That's where I get my name on my YouTube thing, like my little bio, right? She was perfectly imperfect. All of us are. We're all perfectly imperfect. We're all unique. We're all different. We touch. If you don't think you touch someone's life, you existing touches someone's life. I swear to God, you don't realize. You got to just detach yourself from yourself. You got to sit down and remove from the situation and realize who's in your life, who is trying to be in your life, who's not trying to be in your life. And you got to think about who does what they do for you and what do you do for people and who's there for you. And you'll see connections. You're going to know. Your life matters. It touches people. There's a lot of people that love this shit out of you. A lot, man. A lot. And death is one of these things in life that it's hard to talk about and it's scary to talk about, but we got to talk about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to us all. I'm sitting here and, sometimes it's the scariest thing in the world is mortality. Like I'll be having the best day ever, and then I sit there and I'll watch some stupid reel or a YouTube video or something about some like old guy seeing there was oh man, I cried a lot, bro. Like, I'm an emotional freaking wreck sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not that guy that says that I don't cry. Oh, so alpha, blah, blah, blah. I cry, bro. I cry. It's normal. It can happen. You gotta be allowing your body to express itself. But like, I'll watch a video and I see the sadness and mortality and the inevitability of death, and it's scary shit. But I feel like you gotta try to be strong. You gotta make the most out of this life. I'm gonna be 37 next month. I know I don't look 37. I mean, I'm not gonna say I look great or anything. I've had hell happen to my body. I don't know where I'm gonna be in life, when I'm gonna go, and how long I'm gonna be blessed here on earth. But now it's like death is a scary thing for me now because I'm a parent. And that's what scares me. I never really was scared before until I became a parent. Now I sit here and the only thing I want in life is to be here for as many things, to be there for my kids, to be there for their memories so that they have as many memories of me, and I get to push them and help and know that I've gotten them to a point where I know that they can fend for themselves in this crazy ass world. Give them everything. I got to give them everything in my life because I'm not going to be here. Getting married after your mom passes away is tough. Jesus Christ, this camera overheated again. So this is the A7 IV, and it's great, right? But I think I need to get the A7S III or an FX3 if I'm going to be doing this stuff, because apparently they're a lot better for stuff. I did switch the temperature threshold to high. We'll see. I don't know. It's not part of this. But anyway, let's finish this again for real. Getting married after you lose a parent is very difficult. My wife lost her father when she was a lot younger, and neither of us had two parents at the wedding. So we didn't, I mean, it was kind of a blessing and a curse. We didn't have a daddy-daughter or a mother-son dance. So we just eliminated that altogether. It was difficult. Thankfully, I guess I have a father-in-law, and her mom, my mother-in-law, did remarry, and he's an amazing guy. He really is a genuinely, like, I hit the jackpot with that guy. Let me tell you, he's very, very good, very genuinely good guy. So he was there to walk her down the aisle. But you lose people, and it's life. But we do have to talk about these things, and we have to normalize it. And I feel like if you don't talk about it and get that fear out of there and whatnot, there's really no way. Fun fact before I go. My mom is very religious. I can't say that I am. I believe. I have my beliefs. I have my doubts. I mean, no disrespect to anybody's belief. So I don't usually get involved with conversations like that with people too much because, like I said, I've gotten to the point in life where I've understood that nobody really is the same. Everybody's got differences. That's what makes us all awesome, right? So I'm not going to sit here and try to push my beliefs or lack of beliefs on you and degrade your beliefs or lack of beliefs. I'm not gonna. It's not my thing. I'm not gonna get involved. So I used to go to church with my mom a lot, and she was very religious. I hope to eventually get past the feelings I have and go back to church. My kids are both in private Catholic school, so it's odd that I'm not going. But funny. This is my mom's. This is my mom's ring. She wore this until the day she died, and it's very smooth right here. So whenever she was stressed, she would flip it inside on her finger, and she would rub it like that. And it's on. I don't like gold. I hate gold, actually. It's one of the things I don't like the most. But this is my one thing that I wear. It's the only piece of gold I'll ever have. I'll have it on me for the rest of my life. I always have it on me. I'll never take this off forever. This was the one crucifix I bought. I've had this for a long time. It's the only thing I wear. So if you ever wonder why I have that chain on, it's my crucifix and it's my mom's gold cross ring. It was that and her Debbie chain. Her name was Deborah. She got Deborah, but she had Debbie on her little gold thing. But yeah, about the religion thing, it was crazy. She was obsessed with St. Padre Pio. Google St. Padre Pio's birthday. Two things to talk about before we leave. This was something I got in the mail after my mom passed away. It was a St. Padre Pio, and one of the things that St. Padre Pio was popular for was his saying, that's the thing. It's pray, hope, and don't worry. My mom had a mug, blah, blah, blah. So this came right after she passed away. And you know what the crazy thing is? At the time when my mom passed away, I had a 2015 Mustang GT in race red. Manual trans, that was my car. And this came and it was so funny. What color is this? This looks like B5 blue. And I kept thinking, man, it's like my mom telling me that I should get that B5 blue Scat Pack. And what do we do? Not too long after she passed away, I found one. I was obsessed with it, and that's how my YouTube kind of started. So weird, right? Like me and my wife, we drove down to Virginia with the Mustang on Memorial Day weekend to a dealership to go get the Scat Pack and drive that back. We traded the car, and it was crazy. It was fun, but it's memories. You make memories, you do these things. And then that was how I got this car, and then that car turned into the Hellcat, then the Trackhawk, and now I'm sitting here with an Escalade, and nobody really gives a shit about my vehicles anymore, but that's okay. That's why I'm trying to bring me into it, because I'm going to always be changing my cars. Don't get too caught up with this Escalade either, all right? Cars are cars. I want to live life. I want to experience. But anyway, like I said, Google St. Padre Pio's birthday. My mom passed away on St. Padre Pio's birthday. That was her favorite saint. That was the one saint that she talked about the most and prayed to the most. His birthday is May 25th. My mom passed away on the night of May 25th. She was supposed to come home the next day for hospice, and I don't know if this was like some divine intervention, if this was St. Padre Pio wanting her in heaven next to him. I try to figure stuff out in my head and think about positive thoughts like that, but like maybe that was like him saying, I want her, she's an amazing woman, and that's my birthday present. Maybe my mom was St. Padre Pio's birthday present in a way, like him having her there by him and everything. What are the odds of that? You know what I mean? It like freaked me out. And I didn't find that out until like many months after she passed away. It was crazy when I found. I was like dumbfounded for a while. I was like, whoa, how did that happen? But that's what happened. That's the story, and that's how I am all messed up. From there, I've gotten an enormous amount of insomnia, the roller coaster, depression. I ate myself silly, not blaming my mom, not blaming her situation. It was my fault. I was in control. I shoved food in my mouth like there was no tomorrow. And, it's bad when you can afford to eat out every night, and I did. I ate myself to 410 pounds. And, what are you going to do? This is life. I'm not that anymore, thank God. And hopefully I stick around for a long time, and I'm here for my kids, and I'm trying to set a good example and make memories. And like I said, I just want to touch people in life and reach out and help and be there and be supportive and live a good life and be proud of the life I'm living, be proud of the person I am, be proud of the kids that I'm raising, be proud of the legacy that I'm going to try to leave behind, so that one day people think back when I'm not here and they go, wow, like I talk about my mom all the time. The people at my office and my business knew my mom. They talk about my mom all the time. Her legacy is strong. It's fresh. They will always know about my mom. They'll always talk about my mom, and they say nothing but good things. My mom was an incredible person, and she touched lives, and no one will forget her, and I'll make sure of it. It's like that movie, Coco, Cool. That was a good one. I like that movie. Whatever. I liked a lot of Disney movies. I watch a lot of Disney movies. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you stayed to the end of this, you're a trooper through multiple overheatings. Hopefully I'll get this issue sorted out. Hopefully the audio is not complete trash. I'm on the Rode mic today. I'm switching things up. I'm testing things. I'm experimenting things. Different cameras, different mics, different lenses. We're on the 1.2 lens, the G Master on my A7 IV. I'm into photography and videography. I'm trying to learn. That's another hobby. But that's where we're at. Thank you for coming along on this journey. I do want to start filming things somewhat point of view. The whole thing, like therapy and the details. Yeah, we're going to talk about the details, the specifics and stuff. But I feel like there's days where we're going to have sit down and talks like this. Just a chill time to talk about topics. But there's going to be times where I'm going to talk about stuff while I'm cleaning the garage, organizing, doing projects, detailing the car, maybe driving vlogs where I really want to get this camera. I think it'll be badass to have it mounted in the window and just drive around in the Escalade and just chat and talk and do an episode like this thing. So we'll see where it goes. But thank you for messing around, hanging around, being around, for supporting. I love you guys, and I'm here. Like I said, if you reach out, I'll talk. I'm here. I'm not fake. I don't care how many followers I have or don't have. I respect you guys. I respect the things that you go through. You can talk to me. I don't reach out to anybody and say, oh, hey, this so-and-so told me this. Your words are safe with me. I'm here doing this for the right reasons. I promise. So I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody's staying happy, healthy, and humble. And thank you so much for coming by. Subscribe. That's it. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.